to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Culture and Leadership Podcast. So today has brought me all the way down to Chichester. We are at the Chichester College Group with Mr. Andrew Green himself. So Andrew, tell me a little bit about yourself and Chichester College.
Yep, so Andy Green, I'm Chief Exec of Chichester College Group, and I've been with Chichester College Group for about 15 years, my 16th year. So I was Deputy Chief Exec for 11, and I've been Chief Exec for 4. Before that, I was at 14 years at what is now Brighton Met, which is part of our group. Yep. So Chichester College Group is made up of 7 further education colleges and some commercial businesses. So we have Chichester, Haywards Heath, Brinsbury, Crawley, Northbrook Worthing and Brighton Met.
That is a mouthful.
So we turn over about 130 million and we have 3,500 staff and about 26,000 learners across the group. We do every single subject you could think of. We do right from foundation learning right through to degree and professional qualifications. If you can think of a subject, we probably teach it somewhere. We are totally inclusive. We will not say no to anybody. So anybody who wants to come to a Chichester College Group will have the opportunity for us to find them the right pathway.
At a different level, right?
At a different level, absolutely. So whatever the right level for them, they might apply for this course. We say, oh, that's not quite right, but this course is right. That inclusivity is really, really important to me because we're not selective anyway. We want to give everybody the path to be successful. Yeah. We've got a bunch of commercial businesses, so 3 childcare nurseries. We've got an international awarding body, sports centres, climbing walls, pitches, etc., etc. So we make quite a lot from our commercial businesses as well.
Right, okay, jeez. That doesn't sound like an easy job.
It's not easy, but I love it. I'm really proud to get up every morning and wear this lanyard and put this on, and I love what we achieve. I love our purpose is to change lives through learning, and I love that every single day we're doing that for all of those learners. And there are 100 examples of where we can see people coming in now. Our educational ethos is built around developing the confidence and skills of young people, adults and apprenticeships. Yep. So the qualification is important. Obviously, it's how we get measured. But actually more important to me is that global creation of an awesome human being who can have the confidence to go and do whatever they might want to do. And young people don't really have careers for life anymore. They might go and do this for 5 years and then change and then change. We teach them those transferable skills. We teach them those skills that will give them that opportunity to get their dream university place or get their dream job and then go on and be successful long after they've left us. That's really important. So they do a whole load of social action, they do trips, they have employer engagement, they have work experience, all those things that will give you a rounded CV and a rounded human being.
That's really interesting because colleges are quite linear. They talk a lot about outcomes. We talk a lot about student outcome, and those outcomes are largely prescribed by government, right? They want to get a job, they want us to pay tax and be a good citizen. Sounds like you're kind of not flipping that on its head, but you're taking that and expanding, and you're trying to invest in these students so when they leave, they've got more than just an outcome.
100%.
They've got a personality for life, characteristics for life, knowledge for life.
That's the most important thing. And actually, some of our learners might not achieve their qualification, but actually that's even more important for us that they've developed as a human being. We take 95 learners out to Kenya every summer to work on a community project. They come back with their life changed. I take 30 odd learners to Edinburgh in the summer every year. They come back with their life changed and develop skills and confidence. And that's really important that they can have that opportunity to add those things to their CV.
Right. That's mouthful, a lot to digest there. Yeah. I hope anyone listening to this on 2 times has chilled out and slowed that down for a second. So I think you alluded there that is it about 30 years in FE?
Yeah, it's 30 years. I think 30 years clicks over the end of August. So I've done 30 years in FE. I came into FE, traditional route for me, I did a A-levels at school and then off to university, did a chemistry degree. Yep. Decided I didn't look great in a white coat and didn't want to be in a white coat.
Be a lab,
It's not really my colour. So I went into retail, worked for House Fraser graduate trainee on Oxford Street for about 3 years, then moved to Boots around the country, retrained as a teacher in 1996 and then...
in chemistry? Science teacher?
No, I taught business actually. I taught business and IT and management and leadership and those sorts of things because I've done a business level 4 as part of my graduate traineeship with House Fraser. So I bring that mix of entrepreneurship and educational.
Now that makes the first statement even more clear because you take your passions and your interests and invest them back into the college through the leadership team. Yeah. And that explains why you've obviously got Dan Power here, who's your Chief Commercial Officer. Yeah. That explains a lot of the commercial decisions that he takes. It's infused by your leadership profile. And so how long have you been in charge then? How long have you been a leader? When did you step up into the first steps of management?
So I joined what was Brighton College Technology back in 1996, and that was what is now Brighton Met, part of our group. And I taught for 4 years, and then a vice principal post came up, and I was like 3 or 4 rungs down the organisation.
Yes, that's a leap.
I thought, I'll have a go. You never know what happens. And I just wanted to put a marker down to say, I'm interested in leadership. What can I do, etc., etc. I got the job. I jumped my boss and my boss's boss into this role, and I was like, what am I doing now?
No learning there. That's a steep learning curve.
It was just like straight in. And I think because I'd had all the leadership training as part of my graduate traineeship for House Fraser and retail, etc. So I reckon that stood me in really good stead to jump from being a teacher to a leader. But I remember the principal at the time phoned me up and said, you need to come and meet your secretary. I was like, what? She said, yeah, you've got a secretary. I was like, oh my God, what do I do with a secretary?
Yeah,
I've never had one before. It's like,
what do we do with this?
What do we do with this? So it was that was my first step in 2000, I guess, into... about 2000.
25 years.
Principal. And I was responsible for quality at that point. And the college had just received requires improvement for quality in an inspection. And then my job was to get them through the re-inspection, which we did do.
With 4 years' experience in FE.
Yeah.
I imagine you made some friends pretty quickly.
I did make some friends pretty quickly, yeah.
So that's an impressive career, right? To have jumped to vice principal very early. I mean, these are hallowed halls, right? The progression map at FE it's not linear. It has a lot to do with time served and experience and being with the organisation, learning it, and some to do with moving. But it doesn't sound like you've moved either. You've been in the South Coast. You've been
two institutions basically.
That's a long time. What's kept you? Why have you stayed in FE then? Right, I can see the passion.
Yeah.
But in your own words.
Our purpose of changing lives through learning. So I live my whole life by one value, which is to make a positive difference to other people in my professional life and in my home life, and that's really important to me. So I can do that every single day here. I can make things better for staff. I can make them feel cared for and wanted and have a great place to work, and I can also make a difference to those young people, adults and apprenticeships, and give them a lift up in life, etc., etc. So that value really drives everything I do, and it's outside of work as well. And I'll give you an example. So there was I live in a village, and there was a young lad that got into a bit of trouble in the village, and the village turned on his parents, etc., etc. So my wife and I invited the parents round to support them and guide them and say, what can we do to help your son, etc., etc. So everybody else turned against them. We were like, no, come on, what's the kind thing to do? What's the kind thing to do here? Brought them round, helped support them, and we're there for them.
And that's the bit that I think you left out about the good work you do for students, adults, apprenticeships, anybody, is actually the community, the impact that we have. 26,000 learners is not a small amount of the local workforce, local economy.
Yeah.
Chichester College Group will have a significant scale of impact. Yeah. And that is led predominantly by you and the exceptional team here.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just talking to I think you've got the only person with this role in the country.
Yeah.
Your customer service director?
Associate principal for customers and students. So I call my students customers.
Yep.
Some of my staff like that, some of them don't like it. So you've turned it into a business. I said, we are a business, but we're
in the business of education.
And on front of our strategic plan, it says we are a people business delivered by people to people. Yep. And that's really important because staff are our most important asset, always. It's that ability to change lives through learning is only done through the team that we've got. I'm really passionate about it. I care deeply about all of the staff. I care deeply about all of the students and making a difference. That economic impact is really important. So we talk about those awesome human beings becoming effective economic citizens, so contributing to the local economy by meeting the needs of the skills, etc., but also becoming really good valued citizens. I want them to add value to their communities as part of that sort of socialisation. We're an anchor institution for all of our communities, so all of our students do social action. So they might go and work on restoring the canal, they might go and paint a boys' club, they might go and restore a playground, they might do this, that and the other, really having an impact on the community.
Taking it seriously. So, given that experience, and I think you're probably qualified to answer this question, what advice would you give to someone that wants to get into further education at any level?
I think you've got to buy into the ethos of further education, what it's about. I think you've got to want to do it. I mean, the pay in FE is not great. Teachers in FE are paid 20% less than schools, and that's been for some time now. So that's a challenge in terms of recruiting staff.
They put it at about 9,800 at the moment. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you've got to want to do. You've got to love and have a passion for what you do. But I think in terms of getting into leadership within FE, there are a couple of things I would say, I guess, is you need to learn your trade. And you need to have time to learn your trade and learn your leadership and take advantage of every single leadership opportunity you get. You can't learn experience, you can only experience experience. And you don't know how your body or your mind or your emotions are going to react to a certain situation until you're faced with that situation. Once you've done it once, you know how it feels, so you can be better prepared before. But you can't train for that. You can't train for an experience of having to fire someone or having to deal with an emergency situation, etc., etc. You can only experience experience, you can't learn experience. So it's about exposing yourself to those experiences, getting... we have a leadership management development program here that runs right from the first point you say, well, I might want to be a manager in the future, aspiring managers, right through to a development centres 1, 2, 3 and 4, which is 4, I want to be a vice principal at some point, I might even want to be a principal, and those are staged at various levels so that we can feed all of that plan, all those succession plan right through the organisation.
See, that's a bold risk, that investment into that workforce, because what if they take all those skills and knowledge you spent all that money on and go somewhere else?
Yeah.
Is that something you freely encourage? Do you say to people, we're going to invest in you, you do what you want with those skills?
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes I say to people, actually it's better for you to go away for a couple of years, learn a bit more somewhere else and then come back. And actually we have quite a few staff who do leave, sometimes because they want to go and get experience elsewhere, but they leave because they're chasing the money or whatever. But out of the staff that leave, 90% come back because they go, the culture's really nice here and the culture wasn't really nice where I went to.
What's your proudest moment in further education across your 30 years so far?
It's a really interesting one. I think there are so many proud moments, obviously achieving the outstanding twice over for the big group, etc. All sorts of things. But I think, the thing that instantly comes to mind is when I first started teaching, I taught at Brighton, what is now Brighton Met, and I had a group of level 1 business. And these lads came in and were like, I'm not talking to you, I can't lift my head, I'm going to keep my hood on, etc., etc.
Tough crowd.
And 4 years later, this one lad had changed from having no friends and no personality to the most confident young man I've ever seen with loads of friends and went on to get a really good job. And, I've kept in touch with him, he's been really successful throughout his whole life and his career. Now, I had that impact on him, changing that person from being completely and utterly inward to being that confident young man. And that has to be my proudest moment because that's a true reflection on changing lives through learning. That's what we do. And my staff do that every single day. And my staff do that with all of their learners and they're incredible for doing it.
There's touch points everywhere, right? And that's the one that just has followed because we've seen, and this is what FE is all about. It is 100%. Taking those learners and giving them the skills for life, right? Lifelong learning. It's not a catchphrase. It shouldn't ever be a catchphrase, but I think it doesn't come from qualifications.
No.
I think qualifications tell employers that they have a knowledge standard. But actually the skills, the characteristics, I've just sat on a briefing call with a client. He said, I don't need them to be the best teacher. I need them to be passionate about the subject they're teaching. And he said, I will see anyone who can exude passion. The microteachers can be terrible. They can be qualified to the right level. But actually, if they want to become qualified, I will take a chance. But if they cannot explain to me why they love the subject they are teaching, I don't think they can get it across to my students.
Absolutely. And we recruit here for attitude because you can train for skills. Recruit somebody with the right attitude, you can train him for skills. And some people say, oh, you have to have a degree, you have to have a master's, you have to have this. No, actually, it's about the person. It's about the attitude that person brings.
Brilliant. So, this is a podcast about culture and leadership. I think we learn a little bit more about you, about the college, about the ethos there, but let's get into the real nitty-gritty now. So, we obviously have a workforce culture here. We have something that we manicure and we create. Does it have values associated to it? What is your cultural ethos?
So the cultural ethos is really about staff being, students being at the heart of everything we do. And we do that in terms of action, not just words. A lot of institutions just do it in words. We do it in action. That's really important. We have 170 strong student executive who help me run the college. So we meet with them on a regular basis. They're involved in every recruiting process. They sat on the interview panel for the principals we've just recruited, etc. So we really take that seriously. They sit on every recruitment either as a group or on the panel. They do lesson observations. So they're involved in lesson observations with our members of staff, which is pretty unique unique in the sector.
Don't think I've heard of that, and I've been around a long time.
We've trained them. We've been doing that for about 8 years, and we train them. And I tell you, when you observe a lesson with a student, you get a completely different perspective.
Totally.
Really different perspective. It's really powerful. And sometimes their write-ups are better than the members of staff. So we really place students at the heart of everything we do, and then obviously staff are our most important asset. And we have a set of values, and a set of behaviours that are under that. But it's not constricted. You must know your values. You must do this. You must do this. It's a way of working. It's a way of being. It's how we do things, and everything is designed around that. So teaching, learning, support is our main focus. Kindness in everything we do. Honesty, integrity, excellence. All of those things. But it's about. I have a massive belief in measuring on outputs, not inputs.
Yep.
So when I first arrived here 15, 16 years ago, everybody had to be in their office at 7:30 in the morning, and if you went home before 7, you got shouted at by the principal. And I said, why? Why?
How does that help us?
If you're delivering outstanding achievement, your finances, great customer satisfaction and staff satisfaction, I don't care whether you're in an hour or 5 hours or 100 hours, as long as you're delivering your outputs.
Yeah.
You're not delivering your outputs, I want to know where you are and what you're doing.
Exactly, to the T, right?
Yeah,
trust.
exactly.
Until trust is broken.
Trust, empowerment, trust and verify within a framework. So we talk about, we have a strategy, we have a framework you can work within, but you can flex within that. And obviously now with 7 colleges, they do have their individual characteristics, and there are their subcultures within the culture. But the culture is all about care, kindness, compassion, looking after people, being kind to people, driven. It's really driven, high expectations. We are very good at saying, that's amazing. What else can we do? How can we do that better?
Yeah.
How can we do that better? All the time.
It sounds a little bit more like, I was with Grant, and this is an episode that I recorded that I haven't released yet at the time of release of this. Grant has got for his organisation, ETC, he's got a voice. So it's a organisational voice. And that is that our tone of voice? Is that done in our manner? And is that the way that we... And this seems like another world, again, somewhere between, yes, we've got values and behaviours, but we also have this higher, deeply ingrained thing. It's a bit harder to measure. Can't land a solid on it. It just is. But can you give me an example then of what sort of behaviours you would see that you would think would embody the culture here?
I think that empowerment and trust. So when we merged with a college, I won't say which one. When we merged with one college, I won't say which one. We introduced learning walks. And so the management team said, well, how many do I have to do a week? Do I have to do 10? Do I have to do 15? Do I have to do 20? I was like, I don't care how many you do. What do you mean? You need to know what teaching and learning is like on your patch. If that takes 1 learning walk or 20, I don't mind. But if I come into your area and say, what's your teaching and learning like, and you don't know, you haven't done enough. But you need to tell me, so I can tick a box, say I've done 10 or 20. I went, no, that's not how we work. That's not how we roll. You're empowered to do as many or as little as you like, but I need to know that teaching and learning is outstanding on your area. They were like, oh, I get it. So that's a sort of example of that trust.
I don't think that person got it when they said they got it, but I reckon they got it a little bit later.
Maybe a bit later, yeah, absolutely. So that's the sort of level of trust, I guess, in a sense. Another example is we have a voucher system called a random act of kindness. Yeah. So you can buy them from the college shop, it costs you £3, and then you can just go and leave that voucher on someone's desk to say, thanks for being really kind, you really helped me out, or whatever, etc. Or just leave it anonymously, or not, or pay it forward at the cafe, or whatever it might be, just to say thanks for that piece of kindness. And it's nice, I as one of the executive assistants at another campus, always looks after me really well when I go over there. So I brought her a couple of vouchers, and she was blown away. I had taken the time and effort to do this for her, and it was, they're £3 each, it's nothing, but it's the thought, isn't it, that makes a real difference. And it's those sorts of behaviours, that kindness, that compassion, that looking after each other, that's really important.
It's the memory that serves beyond the action.
Yeah.
Because that £3, maybe not nothing to something, but generally speaking, it's not a great deal, but it's the impact that has on that person's day. You don't know on the other side of what someone's been through that day.
Yeah.
Could have sat in traffic for 2 hours that morning, burst into tears, and had a terrible start to the day.
Yeah.
Might have had a bereavement or battling some awful stuff, but actually that little bit of kindness has picked it up.
And I've got a leadership speech which I do often, and maybe usually at graduation, about kindness being a superpower, and about how, exactly as you said, Guy, you don't know whether that person's had a really good day or a bad day, and that random act of kindness could absolutely change their life or change their day.
It's largely why I always ask if people are ready to receive feedback. So before I just rain praise or negativity upon someone, and then listen, we have to have difficult conversations as senior leaders. I'll say, are you okay to receive some feedback? Or can I pull you for 5 minutes to have a chat about that?
Yeah.
No, guy, I'm having the worst possible day and I don't think I've got the ability to deal with you today. So no, all right, cool. I'll drop it into you in an email tomorrow morning. No problem. And you then get a scope before, because actually if someone's not ready, you can really cause yourself a problem. You've got 7 colleges in the group, right? That is it's huge. That's I don't think there's many. You've got NCG, maybe LTE that have more sites.
There are
of
7
education.
across. There are 7 over 100 million across the sector, so there's only 7 of us over 100 million.
Special group that. And so when you've merged all these colleges up, have we gone through a process each time we've brought a college in to re-identify the values and realign?
Yeah.
What do we do?
So we have what's called a merger formula.
Yep.
So that merger formula starts with winning the hearts and minds of the staff.
Yeah, of course.
Going in, listening, understanding that they've come from a college that's probably broken in terms of finances, or normally there requires improvement for Ofsted. That's what we specialise in. And but going in and listening and saying, okay, what's the journey been like? How's it been? What's good for you? And also finding those nuggets, because even a broken college will have something that's really, really good. So rather than saying, here's all our systems, you must take them all on, it's like, well, what do you do about that? Well, we do this. What do you think we should do? And think, oh, we love that system, we take that, okay. And then we'll find something and go, well, actually, your system's really good, so actually we'll take that across the group. And that then makes them feel, oh, that's a bit proud, that's quite nice.
Corporate knowledge.
Yeah, but then putting the students right at the heart of everything we do. So making sure that ethos for those members, for those colleges that emerge, they understand that the students are the most important thing. Because very often what happens is leadership or whatever drift away from that understanding, and that's why college gets broken. We replace those there. So that then builds on driving up quality. So when we took on former GB Met, which was Brighton and Northbrook, their apprenticeships were at 41% achievement rate. They're now at 73% 2 years later.
Perfect.
We've driven that reputation. That drives recruitment. We drive efficiencies. That drives income. Then we can reinvest it. And then that drives recruitment because it's in, we're investing in the facilities and the staff, etc., etc. So it's about a 20-stage formula. I've simplified it.
Yeah.
But there is a formula that we've worked out over the years that works really, really well.
Perfect. So merging up of those organisational makeups makes sense. Specifically coming back to culture and values, how do we go about recognising their existing belief systems and existing behaviours to then merge that up into a group? Do we have a tiered system which is, here's the baseline standard, you can enhance from it, or what? How do we manage that? Because that's massive.
Yeah, it is. So what we've done on a regular basis, sort of after we've merged with each college over the years, is we put aside half a day of a development day to work on culture and values, and we recently have used AI because it's much easier to randomise staff so they work in lots of different groups so they can get to meet people they've never worked with before, and then they'll have a facilitator with them who then work through, these are the proposed college values, how do you feel about these, are these right, is the wording right, do you recognise these, is there something we're missing and not missing, and then we can come up with an agreed set of values across the entire organisation that every single member of staff has been workshopped and has a feeling of being part of that and the behaviours that sit underneath it.
And that's great. No, I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. You can wiggle as much as you want. How do you then embed those values back into the organisation? Because it's great that we now recognise them. We can all see. Most people will tell us how they think they feel, and that's fine. How do we get them to then connect to those values wholesale? Because you've had when was the last merger?
21. So GB.
So we've had 3-4 years of stability now.
22, 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years of stability. So we've got pretty much embedded. But how do we embed them?
It's a challenge. It is a really challenge, and I talk a lot about how difficult it is to get a consistent culture across such a large organisation, because the culture you experience as a member of staff is only as good as how you're being treated by your line manager. So I can sit centrally and go, input, output, kindness, compassion, all of those things. If someone in this dark corner of the organisation is behaving in a different way to that, those members of staff won't experience that. No. So you've got to have those checks and balances in. You've got to have staff surveys, focus groups. When we first merged, I employed a coach of culture for 2 years to literally go out and listen to the culture in the dark areas of the organisation and then feed that back and then put in place what we need to do to change the culture of those particular individuals who weren't necessarily buying into the behaviours that we would want from a central. Because, and we're not perfect now. without a doubt. Definitely not perfect.
I don't think anybody would rightly say they could be perfect, because what is perfect?
Yeah, the culture is, it's a long way in the organisation, but it's never going to be 100% because you've always got individuals that don't necessarily agree with that way of working or that way of working, etc. But
you can combat that in onboarding.
Yeah,
there's some really good exercises to work through where most colleges haven't looked at this for a little while, right? It needs to be dusted off, but your employee life cycle matters. Yeah. How people leave matters. Yeah. How people join matters.
Yeah.
And within that, there's a whole process that you go through, and that helps support the dark corners. Interesting you say dark corners. Is that where you don't get your employee engagement surveys back?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is the dark spots on the map. You're like, right.
Or you do get them back, and they're always the negative ones.
And they're dark, and they're more negative. But I would have called that the negative patches. The dark patches where you hear nothing. That's more. I'm more worried. Yeah. I'm more worried about that, right? Because they're not comfortable to say anything.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to be worse than people saying bad things, right? It's that dark patches on the survey map, right?
It's interesting. I have what I call a CEO question time. So once every half term, I go out and I'll do a walk around of a campus, and then I'll sit in a room for an hour, and staff can come and ask me absolutely anything they like. Yeah. And they're pretty popular, and I hear all sorts of stuff. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll go back and see why that's happened, or this has happened, or why have you not got that, or those sorts of things. So I will go and listen. So that's been really helpful actually in terms of listening to the coalface. And understanding what's happening and what's going on.
I see. I'm struggling with this at the minute. Actually, you might be able to share some insight, wisdom here. So I have been a frontline leader for all of my career. Right, I started in recruitment 11 years ago. I've always been in education recruitment, and branched out a little bit, but purely education. I've got this view that if I'm not in the office, I'm not working. If I'm not in before my team, I'm not working. If I'm not in later than my team, I'm not working. And there's so many attributes that are just me feeling like I have to lead from the front.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to let go because I worry that they'll think that I've lost my edge or I'm not connected to the coalface.
Yeah, that's interesting.
As a CEO, you've obviously got your own office, right? Yeah. I've got my own office, but it's like, how do I still feel connected? How do I get rid of this feeling of I need to be at the coalface doing what they do? I need to go and teach a lesson, or I need to go and find a member of staff.
Yeah.
How did you get past that? Did you have the same problem?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's changed from when we've gone from being 2 colleges to 7 colleges, and it changes.
Is that what you call a change?
It's changed.
Yeah.
My visibility has changed. My ability to be visible has changed. I think that you have to. Of course you've got to lead by example, you've got to be able to do this, you've got to be able to do that. But your job as chief exec is very different from someone that's a teacher or a frontline manager or a teacher learning manager or a head of learning. There are different roles for a reason. Doesn't mean I can't roll my sleeves up and get involved in the detail. I go and teach an access class once a year on presentation skills, and I love it. It's so fantastic, and the teacher loves it, and the students love it, and it keeps me connected. And my Edinburgh project keeps me connected to the students, etc. But I think as a chief exec, my team know that I'm not a morning person, so they're all in at 7:30 in the morning because they love getting up early and it's quiet, etc., etc. I'll rock up at 10 to 9 because I'm not a morning person. But I might still be working at 8 or 10 o'clock at night, or sending an email at 1 o'clock in the morning because I don't go to bed till 1 because that's who I am.
You're an evening person, right?
Yeah, I'm an evening person. I'm a night owl, etc. So it doesn't matter when you work. It's about the outputs. And some of my team will work really, 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 really hard and don't take a break. And I was like, well, if you don't take a break, you're less productive in the afternoon. So actually you've achieved less than you would have if you took a break.
Yeah, go and have your lunch.
Go and have your lunch. Go have half an hour. Go and walk around, whatever it might be. That's really important. The other thing is really important is family comes first. We always say that. So you only get one chance to be a dad or a mum. You only get one chance to go to your kids' nativity play or their parents' evening. Go and do that. Go and do that. That's really important because you know that if you give that to them, when you need them to work extra hours for Ofsted or you need them to put in an extra shift, they'll do it. People know that they know that we care about them and their family.
Very interestingly, you won't know this because it's probably not widely publicised. Talentia Group's first purpose was family first and always has been, which is if it's related to your family, you don't need to put a holiday request in. You don't need to do anything like that. We don't track that stuff, right? Yeah. You call in, you've got to take your kids to school, whatever the balance is that strikes that your family comes first in your priority list. You're going to work. Recruitment's long hours, so it's frequently 10 to 12 hours a day, right? We get the tough job because we've got to speak to people when they're not at work, which means we have to work hours when they're unsociable. The other thing that's closely aligned is that Talentia Group's purpose is to empower people and change lives. And it always has been that since the very beginning. So very closely aligned organisationally. Which brings me neatly on to my next question, which is you've talked a lot about values.
Yeah.
Do you need your organisation to recite those values or those behaviours, or do you base it on this kind of feeling or this kind of deal that we have?
I think it's all about the feel. It's all about the feel. What is the point of me going down the corridor and saying, tell me what our corporate values are, tell me what these are? It's about a way of working. It's about a belief system, isn't it, in terms of the staff? You know, when Ofsted came in 2020, the lead inspector said to me at the end of the inspection, and we had 5 colleges then, he went, I've tried really, really hard to find a member of staff who isn't going above and beyond for students, and I cannot find one in the entire organisation.
Did that go in the report? I hope it did.
No, it didn't go in the report.
Yeah, okay.
But actually, that was the biggest compliment any could have paid, because they do go above and beyond. And money doesn't motivate, it creates movement, Hertzberg. But true motivation is when somebody's doing something because they want to do it, not because they've been told to do it. And that's the most important thing. So they buy into your values, they buy into your culture, they buy into your purpose, then they're going to do it because they want to do it, not because they're being told to do it.
Purpose and mastery. Both sides of that, right? You can give them purpose and you can give them an investment that makes them better.
Yeah.
Very, very true. So, forgive me here, but going against the grain, most people are going to say then, but Andy, how do you measure culture? And if you haven't got something written down, if something that people can remember and something that people hold it to, how do we measure whether it's going up and down?
So, I guess my question would be, how do you measure culture? What is culture and how do you measure it? Because culture is so many different things.
Values and behaviours.
Values, behaviours, symbols. Yeah. You know, if you walk around this campus, you will see aspirational posters up, aspirational quotes from people. You will see students, pictures of students. This is where I am now in terms of I did this course and now I'm in this career, etc., etc. They're not by accident. They are there placed to raise the aspiration and the desire and the inspire students and staff, actually. So culture's a whole load of different things. The way we try to measure culture is through a staff survey or a pulse survey, and we ask staff how do they feel they can align with the values, and they score that, and we get pretty high scores on that. We ask another 2 questions, which is, are you proud to be an employee of Chichester College Group, and would you recommend us as an employer? And pre-merger with GBMet, we were getting 96, 97% in those. That's dipped since merger, because obviously GBMet was in a difficult place financially, et cetera. But those are coming back up now, and we're at 88-ish percent in the last pulse survey we've done. So you can measure how people feel proud to be of an organisation. Recommendation of employer is always difficult, because actually, is that the right question to ask?
Do I want to work with my mates? Well, no, I kind of like to see my mates outside of work.
Exactly, yeah. And actually, pay, is always a challenge. So no, I wouldn't. I love my job, but the pay's not good enough, so I'm not going to recommend you. Do you know what I mean?
So it's a subjective question, right? But you get to a point where you need them to respond, so that you've got at least a guide.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's the loop back from middle managers, senior leaders that comes back to the top table that gives us a little bit more of an insight.
One of the other things we do with students is we ask them to rate their confidence level at the beginning of the course, and then we get them to rate at the end of the course. And every single course is an improvement in confidence. And that's my clear measure. I know it's not necessarily culture, but it is linked to that culture.
Culture is purely in a college is designed to impact student outcome. It's like we'd be kidding ourselves if we didn't want the reason our staff were really happy and motivated to be a good reason for an outcome for a student. I think you'd be naive to think anything otherwise.
I say happy staff, happy customers. 100%. I learned that house phrase and I've used it my whole career. And I say that staff, happy customers.
Yeah. And happiness, I guess, doesn't mean smile, right?
No.
It doesn't mean smile. It just means outcomes first, right?
Yep.
Can I solve the problem? What's irking you? What can leave you better than when I found you? I don't need you to leave here smiling. You can still be crying by the time I'm done, but you're crying less.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's definitely not.
Students to leave with pride and happiness. So students to go away and thinking, I had a really good time there. I
enjoyed my period at Chichester College Group. So how do you think then that other leaders, if there's no predefined way that we measure values, right? And I'll accept some of that. I think there are other stats that we can use, but I don't know if they work as well, right? So actually, go on.
Net promoter score and that sort of stuff. It's like, what's that?
I mean, you're running an NPS anyway by having an engagement survey, right? Like our NPS score is 84 out of 100. That would tell you that we were the best recruitment company in the world. I tell you now, we're not the best recruitment company in the world. We're 90% where we need to be, but we're forever trying to be better and forever trying to be the best. But no one's told me who the best is yet. So we talked a little bit about measuring culture, right? So some of the standard, quite arbitrary ways of looking at it are staff engagement surveys, which are great.
Yeah.
Employee turnover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you recommend us, of course, again, part of the engagement survey? But do they work? And I'd argue...
It's interesting because our staff turnover is lower than the sector, so we can measure ourselves against the sector, so we have a lower staff turnover than the sector, but we lose the majority of our staff in year one. If they get past the first year, they stay for 30. But we lose the most in the first year, and we're trying now to work out why that is, what is causing that. Is it the onboarding? Is it the pay? Is it the teaching? Is it because obviously we take a lot of people from industry straight into a teaching role, and they go, yeah, I want to teach, that's amazing. And then they're faced with a group of 16-year-olds in a brick workshop, and they go, no thanks, that's not for me.
Yeah, and do you know what? On their worst days, probably not for you.
Absolutely,
As Marilyn Monroe would say, you've got to take me on my worst days to have it at my best, right? You can't take all the success at the end of the year. Okay, so... have you got a leadership methodology then that you've applied to your role at Chichester College Group? Is there something that permeates throughout the organisation? Now, authenticity was something we talked about a little bit at the beginning. Is there anything else to throw on top of that, or expand upon that a little bit for me?
Authentic leadership is really important. Being yourself, being genuine, and I think... distributed leadership, we talk about distributed leadership model, we talk about empowerment, we talk about the ability to make your own decisions. Just done a big workload research project with our first line managers, teaching and learning managers, who are the first line above lecturers, and they were saying the biggest impact on their workload, sickness, admin, systems, but not feeling empowered to manage what they do in a day. And actually, if you can feel empowered to do what you want to do in a day, that helps your motivation. That's a cultural thing, that empowerment. So empowered, distributed leadership. Fun. It's really important to have fun. So important. Family comes first. Happy staff, happy customers. All of those things build that cultural thing. Leadership, I think, is contextual and situational. So there are times where I have to become more tell than sell. The majority of the time I'll be sell, but there are times when I go, no, actually, I'm not going to sell you the idea that you need to fill out your risk assessment. I'm telling you need to fill out your risk assessment because that's the law. So
we as leaders, again, I share the same there. So yes, it's hard work, but it is fun. I will make sure you have fun when you come to work, and fun with professional fun, right? Like there have been periods of Nerf gun battles at dawn and Wagamamas at 11 o'clock rather than doing any real work, but the outcomes then weren't great. Yeah. So the outcomes now are about enjoying it, right? Yes, you can listen to some music. Yes, we can have a laugh, but fundamentally we do a job. So go on then. You've just said that making it fun is at the core of good culture, right? How would you advise any other leader who currently thinks maybe we're not having a lot of fun? What 3 things could they do to make that day more fun?
That's a really good question. I think as leaders, you have to be emotionally intelligent. So you have to understand how the impact your emotions have on people and the emotions of other people around you. Yep. So I have learned through experience and over the years better read the emotions of people around the table, around the room. So I know whether I can be really playful and fun, or I know whether I've got to be a little bit more serious because they're in that particular place or whatever. So I think it's an understanding and knowing your team. Yep. It's understanding and knowing and managing them in very different ways. So my team are very diverse, they're different people, and I'm managing them in very different ways. So I manage Dan as Chief Commercial Officer in a very different way that I might manage one of the other teams, because they need different things and they find different things fun, etc., etc. I think if you try and force that whole, we're going to have fun today and we're going to do this, this and this, it's different for everybody, you know. So it's differentiating that approach and making sure that it's appropriate, it's accepted, you're not forcing it on anybody, etc., etc. I'm known for my dad jokes, and I use that humour very carefully. People think I'm just doing it because I think I'm funny. I know I'm not that funny, but I use it actually sometimes to diffuse a tense situation. So if there's a sort of tense discussion happening at a group leadership team, I might throw a joke in just so people laugh and it reduces the tension in the room. So I use it to effect sometimes.
Anyone who's ever had a cold call from me will know, fundamentally, I start every phone call with a laugh. Yeah. So you hear the tone of voice I'm using now, it's laugh. Have you ever tried to be mad at someone who is on borderline smiling, laughing with you? Yeah. Right? Like, now, if someone comes in shouting and screaming and being really angry, I'm not going to laugh straight away. We're going to go, whoa. But generally speaking, if I start a conversation and it's trying to get someone to relax, immediately, it's this kind of edge of laughter puts everyone at ease. Humour is your default response to a stressful situation. That's part of making the workforce fun. So I don't know if you were quite trying to give that out as the third tip, but I think
so. Yeah.
I think firing out, not fire, I don't know how you fire out a dad joke in the middle of a board meeting, but I definitely have done. I have done so.
Yeah.
Don't know if it was prudent.
So if we're talking about travel and tourism courses and the recruitment's gone up, and go, they're flying, aren't they?
Crap.
I'm here a week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. How many children have you got again?
5.
Yeah. Okay. He's a level 5 dad. Makes total sense. That was a level 5 dad joke.
Talk about equine. I need to do some horse trading there, don't we? So. Who's taking the reins on that course? You know what I mean? It's just, you can do a whole podcast on my dad jokes.
Yeah, okay, fine, perfect. We will tune in for season 3. We will come back and revisit the collection of dad jokes from Andrew Green. So, go on then. Who's in charge of culture at Chichester College Group?
Everybody.
Yeah, everyone has a voice to say, and I feel that.
Yeah, it's like health and safety. Everybody has a responsibility. Everybody's involved in culture.
Come on, dad jokes, health and safety. We're making too many leads here.
It's everybody's. The board are responsible for the strategic direction and the educational character of the organisation. Myself and my executive team have to then produce that. But everybody has a responsibility for culture, and that's what I say about your culture is only what you experience from your line manager, and our development and our support and our mechanisms and our structure of our meetings, etc., has to enable that culture to be understood in every corner of the organisation.
Perfect.
It's hard. It's really hard.
I don't think anyone sat listening to this thinking your job's easier or my job's easier or anyone else's job is bloody easy.
Yeah.
Right then, culture aside, we've talked a lot about culture. Why do people work at Chichester College Group?
I think people work at Chichester College Group because they know that we are a people business. We care about our people. We invest in our people. I think they buy into our purpose of changing lives through learning. They buy into the fact that we absolutely put students at the heart of everything we do. And they will be looked after and cared for. We do our very best to pay them as much as we can. That's not always possible because of the way we're funded, but we will put in loads of development, loads of professional development, loads of opportunities, and try and treat them right.
Yeah. And then throw the fact that they can be part of such awesome outcomes, shared outcomes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
our purpose, changing lives through learning. This is what you do. This is, and most people will say to me, I'm in this job because I can take a class of X students and they'll achieve this and they'll grow and they'll develop and I'll see them and go out the other end being amazing human beings.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
Outcomes led. Okay. Is there one particular benefit that you would sing about if you could?
I'd have to say the culture. Because
can't say culture. We took that off the table at the very beginning. One thing that isn't culture that's tangible that you would sing about.
I would say that in our staff surveys, people say the best thing about CCG is the people they work with, is the teams they work with.
You just said culture in another phrase.
Damn it, you saw through me.
Right.
But it's true.
But it sounded.
People come back. People leave and come back going, oh my God, I didn't realise the culture here was so good.
And I think we can say culture. But I think I'm letting you off the hook if I say culture. But you did allude to something earlier in the conversation. You talked about progression.
Yeah.
Now, culture is one thing. And yes, progression is part of culture. And maybe I wasn't clear that you could get it out. But people do something for 2 reasons. Purpose and mastery.
Yeah.
So if your college strongly invests in its workforce through teaching and learning, through management progression opportunities, through genuine progression opportunities in the field of mastery and learning and being better, that actually sounds like something that you should be singing about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. We just done a piece of brand research with a company, external company, and they came back to say, actually what you do is incredible, but you don't tell your story well enough. So we're really now focusing on how we tell our story of the massive impact we make on the local community, on young people, adults and apprenticeships, on our staff, that massive opportunity for progression, etc. So we're starting to work about how we can tell that story better.
So culture's in, progression is in. Why else do they stay? What else do we give them that makes them want to be here? They stay for their colleagues, yes. They stay for what we offer. But is there anything else that really keeps people here?
I think we give them the opportunity to be their best selves.
Yeah.
So we give them the opportunity to be the best teacher they can be, the best finance person they can be, the best pastoral tutor they can be. We give them those opportunities. And if you're ambitious, we'll listen and we'll work with you and we'll help you and we'll develop you and we'll look after you and all of those things. So it's about creating an environment not using the word culture, an environment where they can be their best selves, or they can aspire to be their best selves. Same with the students and staff alike, to be their best selves.
I think you're right. If you could change one thing about what you offer your workforce, what would it be?
The obvious one is pay. Obviously, we're not funded properly from the government, so that's a challenge. Although for the first time this year, we've been given the same money as the schools got for their pay awards, which is amazing.
I thought that was great.
Great news. Jackie Smith's doing a good job so far. So pay is a big one, and workload. So pay and workload. So we're doing a lot on workload at the minute in terms of what can we change to reduce workload. Workloads are at ridiculously back-breaking levels in FE because of the amount of bureaucracy and red tape. Paperwork, etc., the evidence we need to keep, the evidence we don't need to keep, what we can do, what we can't do. So those are the two things that I am currently working on: pay, workload reduction. If we can crack those, then we'll have a very, very happy workforce.
They're almost intrinsically linked. If you could pay someone more, they'd work a bit harder.
Yeah.
So if you solve one, you solve the other. If you could reduce the number of hours they have to do through AI, through admin, you can crack that nut more than one way.
And it's breaking the cycle, and sometimes because we've got teaching learning managers who are not able to support staff when they first start, so those staff get very stressed and they go off ill. So therefore, the teaching learning manager is having to cover that teaching, which means they haven't got time to support the staff when they first start. So you've got to break that cycle of that. That cycle of creating workload. So you've got to be able to say, right, how do we stop that cycle to give people time to support the new staff, and therefore they won't go off sick, they won't be stressed, etc.
Workforce management, interesting. So you seem like an incredibly accomplished leader. 30 years in FE doesn't go unnoticed, right? You've run businesses. You're a man in charge. Yeah, well, I'm saying nice things today. What are you doing in terms of your personal development? I'm sure there's a million ways you got here, and I think you tie it back to experience. But beyond experience, how are you taking yourself to the next level?
So I have two coaches that I work with, which are very different in their approach. One's a regular coach, and one's a more sort of, psychological type coaching philosophy. So they're really helpful. We have a leadership group of what we call the seven over 100 million. So we share a lot of stuff with those chief execs of the seven, because that's really important. Mainly because running a big college is very different to running a small college, and so you need to be able to talk about and think about the scale and those sorts of things.
Even more lonely.
Yeah.
Those millions equal isolation. Yeah. I run a £50 million organisation.
Yeah.
I spend most of my nights on my own. Yeah. And whether that's psychologically or in physical presence. Yeah. And I actually admire the fact that you get together and share that burden, because that is a lot of lives to be responsible for.
It is, absolutely. I think we worked out the seven, we're £1 billion turnover and 200,000 learners, something like that. Which is just insane.
Learners, the economic impact of those and them having a good education is.
But I think also as a leader, you have to look after yourself. That's really important. There's a reason they say put your oxygen mask on before you can help anybody else. If you don't look after yourself, you can't look after other people. And it's for me developing ways to sleep at night, which I do really, really well. I'm really able, through years of practice, to be able to switch off. I've got my Lego, which I make, and that's my mindfulness. So I make all that and I don't worry about everything else, and other stuff that I do outside of college, outside of the role. It's really important to be well mentally, physically, because otherwise you won't be able to do your job. It's a tough job. You've got to look after yourself in all those aspects.
Any role models that stand out for you?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I'm a big sports fan, so there's number of leaders within sports that really inspire me. Sir Alex Ferguson.
But you're a Tottenham fan, are you? You're a sports fan. I don't know if that's all right.
I am a Tottenham fan.
And your first person out was Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, my childhood hero was Glenn Hoddle, but then he went a bit wayward, didn't he?
So a bit odd. Hoddle was odd.
That was odd. And Sir Clive Woodward, etc. So there's some sports leaders that I follow. I'm a great reader of leadership books and stuff. So
go on then. Let's ping that one. What's the best leadership book?
Why Should Anybody Be Led by You? The Authentic Leadership, and Power Now.
Yeah.
Power Now, And I always say, the lines I have from the Power Now, which is, have you read the Power Now?
I haven't. I've read the one before.
Yeah. It says, if you don't like a situation, change it or accept it.
Shut up, move on.
And then you can't move.
You
can't moan.
You have to take an action.
Because you either accept it or you take action against it.
Yeah, do something about it. You don't like it.
And live in the present moment.
I'm going to throw two back at you.
Go on.
What got you here won't get you there. Marshall Goldsmith.
Nice.
Alchemy by Rory Sutherland. But Marshall Goldsmith, what got you here, acknowledges the distance travelled to be there.
Yeah.
But it recognises all the achievements on that way, but that those achievements don't accumulate to where you're going to be next. Yeah. So you have to recognise this, but what are we going to do beyond it? It doesn't discredit anyone for getting to that point. It doesn't devalue the marker. No. It takes you further and beyond.
And I like to think I am a really humble leader, as in, I love what I do and I'm passionate about what I do. I don't have a massive ego. It's not about me. It's not about me being on the front page of this, that and the other. I'm very happy for my team to take credit necessarily. Let's not get it wrong. I love being on the stage. I love talking to crowds. I love doing all that sort of stuff. It's brilliant, but it's not about me. It's about my learners. It's always about the learners.
It's about the outcome for them. Yeah. So, biggest challenges faced, not by you, broadly speaking. Let's not give away the strategic plan, but what big challenges do you think are coming up in the sector?
Interestingly, I think the biggest challenge for us now is that we've got a government who are mission-based, and I think skills is at the heart of those 5 missions, and I think they have started to invest in skills in a way they've not done for a long time. If we don't deliver that return on that investment and see the economy grow, then we're going, well, you said invest in you and you return, and you haven't returned. So we have a responsibility as a group of FE leaders to absolutely make sure we deliver on that investment in FE to grow the economy and grow social cohesion. So if we don't, they go, well, we funded you and didn't do anything.
And we feature heavily in their industrial plan, but I don't know.
140 times.
Yeah, I don't know yet if I personally, shoot me if I'm wrong, on average don't think colleges have the employer buy-in to deliver the outcomes in isolation.
Yeah.
That I think that deeply requires a mandate for employers to engage better with FE. Now that is either a tell or a sell. And there are certain people that can sell. And at the moment, I think we need to go to a bit of a tell.
Yeah.
And that is through apprenticeships, that is through placements, that is through everything else. We can drive the economy forward, but we have to create a more innovative structure to support that.
Yeah. I think the industrial strategy is very sector focused. So it looks like they're going to invest in sectors. They've got the College of Excellence for construction, talked about one for defence, talked about one for digital and IT. So the investment is going to come sector based. The investment is coming sector based. And we need to be able to be in a position to respond to those.
How do you see AI impacting further education?
So I think AI has a huge opportunity. I think that we have invested in some AI software that helps our teachers prepare and can produce PowerPoints and lesson plans and schemes of work and all those sorts of things in seconds as opposed to the hours that it might take a member of staff. We have a maths and English system that uses AI, which really helps our students, and we know the more they use that, the better their results. We're starting to investigate AI assessments or marking, but you will never take away the role that a teacher takes in FE. AI can give you knowledge. And as I said before, teachers are not just there anymore to just give knowledge. The student wants to learn. They go to Google, they go to YouTube, they watch a video, etc. So that's knowledge. The teacher is there about facilitating and creating that love of the subject, creating that feel in a classroom where you can interact and socialise and learn and be curious and all those sorts of things, creating curiosity. AI can't do that yet. And I don't think it will ever replace teachers, and it certainly won't while I'm in charge.
Admin. The biggest problem with being a teacher is the amount of paperwork, right? And submitting it in the right places, filing it in the right places, making sure it's in a suitable level of evidence for the FE and for Ofqual. In reality, if AI can shift that, if it can constantly capture a lesson
100%.
and shift the paperwork and give you a printout, done.
Our teachers are saving 5 hours a week preparation through this system we bought.
Brilliant. Andy, I think that was a good fireside chat. I think anyone listening to that conversation
really enjoyed it.
Should have a really interesting insight into Chichester College Group, into yourself, into why they should work here. And I think any leaders that were listening to that have got some questions, I think. And I feel like you're open to those questions.
Yeah.
I'm not going to encourage everyone to come down and visit and have a look at what you 100%. Do here, but I'm sure you leave your doors wide open. But thanks so much for sharing the time, and I look forward to listening to this one back.
Great. Thanks, Colin.
And to the digital audience that joined us first in season 1 and joined us for all of those episodes and all those fantastic leaders, thank you so much for coming back and listening to season 2. You'll find in season 2 is going to be a little bit more conversational. It's going to be a little bit more free-formed. It's going to allow people to explore their roles within further education and share a little bit more about culture and leadership, as you've seen with Andy today. So we hope you join us for the rest of the episode.